Hey guys, I'm Alison Grayson. This is Bessie the Land Cow, and together we are Skoolie Sound. Bessie is a 1990 GMC Vandura short bus, and I do location audio for a living, hence the combination of Skoolie Sound. When I first got Bessie off of Craigslist, she was already gutted out, so all the seats were gone, but I've done all of the design work and all of the build by myself. I've had Bessie for about a year and a half, and I've been living in her full time for just under a year. So, today I'm going to give you a little bit of a mini tour of my mini house and show you what it's like to live comfortably in a 90 square foot school bus. We're going to start the tour in my favorite part of the bus, which happens to be the back of the bus, and it's also my bedroom. It's also a lot of storage space, and it's also a lot of workspace. One of the tricks to living in a tiny home is the more that you can double up on your storage and work and livability areas, the way better functionality you're going to get out of your 90 square foot house. This pulls down into a full-size bed, but when it's up like a couch, I have access to a lot of different seating areas. I have platforms for putting a standing desk on, and I have some easy access boards under this mattress for getting into my storage spaces. Behind me, you can see my closet. I do have a storage unit for some work-specific gear, such as parkas and bunny boots. But the things that I use on a day-to-day basis all fit behind me on this shelf. Down here, I have a lot more storage, and I also have the brains of my Goal Zero operation. Bessie is fully sustainable off of solar power, meaning she's off-grid capable. I have a bunch of Goal Zero panels on the roof. And down here, I have the Goal Zero Yeti 1250 with a couple of 100 amp hour batteries daisy chained to it. I have been so happy with Goal Zero. It's very plug and play, it's very convenient. It inverts, it converts, it harnesses the power of the sun for my convenience. And they have great customer service. So if you're interested in adding solar to your tiny house or your bus or whatever, I highly recommend you go with the Goal Zero people. One of the bus-specific issues with tiny house living is that the windows are single-paned. You can opt to replace them with double-paned RV windows, or you can do what I did. I took out quite a lot of the windows on the bus by insulating over them and boarding over it to kind of really cut down on the energy transfer that goes through the single-pane windows, and also to create a lot more privacy and just kind of have a cozier of a bedroom area. If you're going to live in such a tiny house, you really had to be up on your organization skills. I have a bunch of little cubbies, and if your house is going to be mobile, you have to make sure that your storage is able to take a couple bumps along the road. Over here, I have another storage area that I try to keep pretty empty. One of the challenges of living in a tiny home is everything has its place, and as soon as something isn't in its place, like your house is a mess just about instantly. So having a little bit of empty storage space to allow for variables is really helpful in that process. And the upside to all of this is your house is a mess quickly, but it also cleans up super quickly as well. So, moving on to the kitchen. I really feel like the kitchen is kind of the only place where I've had to make some livability compromises in Bessie. And that's partially because I really like running off the solar, and any sort of heating element, even if it's as simple as a crock pot, takes a ton of wattage. I'd have to have the roof of my bus lined with solar to make that work. But also because it's just a teeny tiny kitchen space. I currently use a Snow Peak backpacker stove for my heating element, which works pretty well for me. If you do this, make sure you get one of those little puncture recycling tools. But when I'm traveling with other people, I really enjoy cooking for my passengers. So I just recently ordered a Camp Chef dual burning stove, and I'll be installing that pretty shortly. One of the reasons that my kitchen can function on full solar is that I have an angle chest fridge. This is made specifically for off the grid, and so it cycles a super low wattage. It's about 30 watts for a couple of minutes, a couple times an hour, which is incredibly energy efficient. And also, because it's a chest fridge, when you open it, all of the cold air stays on the bottom and doesn't spill out like it does in a conventional fridge. So right now I am hooked up into a house for this electric heater. I do have a Navigator work stove that will be coming on its way, but there's a little bit of a wait list. I also have a Camping Buddy propane heater for when I'm off-grid, but it's not the type of thing that you should be operating inside or unattended for any amount of time. Another thing that makes Bessie work really well, and also probably one of the scariest things I've installed in her so far, is the ceiling vent. She's small enough, and the bathroom behind me is open enough that I can get away with having one vent that will take care of both cooking smoke and bathroom humidity. Another thing I'm really stoked about with this wood-burning stove is I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I do travel often. But Bessie is mostly based here, and propane heat can lead to a lot of mold and mildew issues in this region specifically. And so a wood-burning stove is going to be a nice dry heat. It's going to be adorable, and it's also going to make my house smell great. So I am totally looking forward to that Navigator sardine stove coming in, and I'll have an install video for you when it does finally happen. So you might have heard me mention a full-size bathroom a moment ago and be wondering how that works in 90 square feet. And the answer is it works surprisingly well. Behind me in this spot, we have my bathroom. Bessie is not plumbed. I originally thought I was going to, and then I found this product, the Helios shower system. I've been living in Bessie for almost a year now, and I really don't think I'm ever going to bother plumbing her. Super easy. You fill this bag up with water, you give it a couple foot pumps, you spray it, and bam, you got water pressure. Legitimately. This is going to sound weird, and I never thought I would say this. Legitimately, one of my favorite things about this bus is my composting toilet. I have a Nature's Head composting toilet. It is fabulous. It is easy. It doesn't smell. I don't ever have to deal with a black water tank. That was one of my first decisions with the bus, was that I was going to do a composting toilet and not black water. And one of the great things with the composting toilet is you're not wasting a lot of water on your waste. That's another great thing about that Helios shower is I can take a full shower with a minimal amount of water and be just as clean as if I had just dumped a bunch of gallons down the drain. I don't find that a lot of my heat loss comes out of the roof, so I left that magnetized. It's great for attaching. My lights are attached with magnets. Any notes I have to remember are attached with magnets. A lot of the cabinets open and close via magnets. They're great. They're fantastic. How do they even work? All right, so now we are in the front of the bus. I'm sitting on the passenger seat, and next to me we have the driver's seat. And a lot of this area is kind of kitchen storage part 2. As I mentioned, my bus is not plumbed, so I have my water tank. It's a 7-gallon tank, and I've got a couple of them on the back hitch. I have some laundry storage. I have a bunch of extra food, toiletries, just basic house storage. Bessie is not 100% done, and I've had her about 1.5 years now. Been living in her almost a year, and I still have the painter's tape that I put on when I first got her up. So eventually this front area will look a little bit nicer. In most states, it's incredibly illegal to keep the flashing lights in your bus, let alone ever use them. Most states, you can't have your bus still be yellow. You can't have it be labeled school bus. But aesthetically, it makes me really happy that I do live in a school bus. She did function as a school bus once, and I kind of want to keep the signs of that. Maybe that will be a fun LED project at some point. One of the most amazing things that I have added to Bessie is a backup camera. Part of the reasons I went with such a small bus is because she's incredibly maneuverable and she fits legally into a parking spot. But it's also a bus. It's also a little bit unwieldy. The gas mileage is absolutely horrible for a bus. The gas mileage is great for a house. But the backup camera really helps with having her function as a house and also be mobile. Another part to Bessie is I do have a security system. And the one that I use every time a sensor is triggered, it will send me a text message. And that's great because if Bessie is not at the address that she's registered at, I still get notification that something's going on. So believe it or not, I think that's about the extent of inside Bessie. So let's go outside and I'll show you just a couple of details out there. So one of the things that has been super helpful also with the maneuverability of Bessie is making sure the windows are proper. She handles like a big van, but she's a big chunk of metal and you don't want to have a lot of blind spots. So adding just a little bit of extra mirrors has been super helpful for me. This sad little shelf in its glory days used to hold up a swamp cooler attached to the window via chain. for now it's on the list of projects I need to take care of later. Over here you can see the boarded up windows. I didn't actually take the windows out for time management. And down here you have kind of my cargo hitch where I keep extra water, gas, pretty much anything that I don't currently want inside of the bus. At some point I would love to have a back porch system that's about the same size of that. So I'm looking forward to having a little bit of a welding project in my future. So up here you can see my solar system. You can also see that I really need to clean it off. At some point this winter, I'm going to be building a roof deck, which will give me a lot more real estate up on the top of the bus, kind of give me more flat area to mount the solar panels. Just a way that they'll be a little bit more efficient, be able to tilt them with the sun. And also give me plenty of room for cargo storage if needed, and just a stargazing spot. But I kind of hate heights, so we're going to go back down now. Alright, I think that just about concludes my tiny tour of my tiny house. So stay tuned, there's going to be a lot more videos about projects and conversions and bus life and road trips and tiny house living and all that good stuff. So stay tuned to Skoolie Sound.